What's up guys, I'm Kate with TypeMatch, and today I'm making another video about ESTPs because I made the one last week where I basically came out as an ESTP because all this time I thought that I was an ENTP. So I want to make more content talking about the ESTP personality, the differences between intuiting and sensing, and basically how to tell the difference if someone is lead SE or lead NE, because I think the two actually get confused quite a bit, especially when the person is high in trait openness. So, but before that, I do have a disclaimer, and that's I've been wanting to tell people what am I actually doing here, because I think that's not clear. I don't consider myself to be an expert in typology. I consider myself to be an entrepreneur who's making an app that centers around typology. So, this channel is really for discovery and learning and fun, and that's why I'm totally cool with admitting that sometimes I am wrong, like I was about my own type. And that's why I like to have people on here who have more expertise than I do, and maybe they have more expertise in typology altogether, or they can provide specific insights on a certain type. And it's just for fun, okay? So take it for what it's worth. I'm not Michael Pierce, though I respect him a lot and would love to have him on my channel. So Michael, if you're listening, hit me up and we could do an interview. So anyway, let's get down to it. I was overwhelmed by the positive reaction of people to my coming out video, and it was cool to see that people are like, yeah, we need more people who are accurately typed and will present an accurate depiction of that type and of sensors in the community. So that's cool, but it's also been really interesting to watch people try to reconcile how I could be a sensor, and not only a sensor, but the most concrete of the sensors. And saying things like, oh well, maybe you're actually an introvert, and I'm like, does this seem like an introvert to you? And oh, you must be a very INFJ side developed one. Okay, maybe that's true, but also you need to just accept the fact that yeah, I am concrete, and I'll explain to you how I know and what the difference really is. So moving into that, I want to say that sensors can enjoy talking about ideas and theories and hypothesizing just as much as intuitives do, except they approach those topics from a concrete perspective. So highlight this with a story. I was presented with the question, do negatives exist in nature? And right away I was energized by the topic. I was like, yeah, this is a good question. Let's talk about this. And then I thought for a second, I was like, yes, they do, because electrons exist and those have a negative charge. And also, there are negative frequencies. So answer just straight yes. But then I took this question because I'm like, this will be an interesting social experiment. And I brought it to different types. I brought it to an intuitive type, and I asked them, do negatives exist in nature? And he came up with, I'm laughing and I shouldn't, he said something about how we humans put labels on things that we shouldn't. What's negative to us isn't necessarily a negative, and how we shouldn't force our perspectives on nature. And it's I understand what you're coming from, where you're coming from there with that perspective. Maybe you're thinking about how can we say that a lion killing an antelope in nature is a negative? Okay. But I don't know. I don't really know what you're saying, to be honest, because maybe it's an intuitive perspective, and there I'm trying to give a concrete to what he said intuitively. But he gave that, and I could see it, but at the same time I'm like, no, you dumb hippie, the thing, electrons, negative frequencies, negative charges exist. So yes, that's it. And that's taking a very concrete perspective. And I don't think he's an idiot. I think he's very intelligent, and I have a very rudimentary understanding of physics, but I'm like, even I can see this. Like, what do you mean? I don't care how you feel about the negatives. That's not what I'm talking about. It's like, question is, do negatives exist in nature? Okay? And like, in nature, electrons are part of nature. Yes. Okay? And that's just a little story highlighting the difference in perspectives. And I brought this to an ISTJ, and he immediately like gave the exact same answer I did. And I was like, thank you, right? Like, but yeah, so maybe you could use that little question on yourselves and others to see how they respond, and to notice those differences in how you approach the question. Is it from a perspective of like, what is in reality the thing that exists, or is it like this other like intuiting perspective of like, well, like this is a societal construct, and I'm like, you're a societal construct. Okay, anyway, moving on. I have all these notes here. I made 2 pages of notes on ESTPs, and I'm not going to get through it all. I'm going to make like 2 separate videos because I don't want to talk for that long, and who's going to watch like an hour-long video? So yeah, that's the first thing. Sensors can enjoy talking about theory just as much, but they approach it from a different perspective. And also, I think that I've seen this in others and in myself, like STPs will get annoyed by things that are sort of like faux deep, okay? Or things that aren't like real and actionable. So like I saw this thing that like, it was so annoying. This thing on Instagram today that was like self-care tips that you can start today. And some of them were, I wrote them down: connect with yourself, create life balance, stack gratitude. And it's like, what does that mean? Like, what am I actually supposed to do with that? Like, stack gratitude? All right, stacks on stacks on stacks, stacked it. Like, none of this is actionable. And it's so annoying. Like, today I'm going to connect with myself. Like, what? How though? How? So this is not a self-care tip that you could start today. Like, give like a thing, like how to do it. Like, be active today. Like, these sound like New Year's resolutions that don't get done because they're not arranged or thought out properly. Like, I think STPs, like, you know, and are aware of like the importance of a SMART goal. Okay, if you don't know what a SMART goal is, it's specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Yeah, I just rattled that off because I love them, okay? Because that's stuff that you can do. It's like, I know what I want to do. I know what it means. I know how to measure that I'm doing it, and I'm gonna get after it. That's very important to SE. It's like, you've given me this thing, but like, what can I do with that you just gave me? You know, it has to be actionable. It's all about, what are we doing? What are you doing? What are they doing? Being aware of what's going on, and looking at what's really going on in a situation. And I think seeing what's really going on in a situation can give SE users like a great sense of calm in a lot of situations. Like, I'll give you a couple of stories because this is what I do. In my teaching training program to teach English as a second language, you know, this was a paid, like I paid to be there, and we were all paying to be there in this program to learn how to teach English. And people around me, it was a pretty intensive course, okay? It wasn't easy. So they were just all freaking out and nervous and the whole time. And I was just super calm. And they didn't understand why. I'm like, guys, like, you're paying to be here to learn how to teach. Like, you're in a class. Like, you're not their employee. They can't fire you. Like, you literally paid and came all the way here to teach in front of them and have them give you like the criticism or like critique of your teachings. Like, so you should never be afraid of the critique. Like, if you're not getting that critique, then you can't improve. And why did you just spend all of this money for this class then? You know, otherwise it's just a piece of paper that doesn't mean anything. Like, that's a participation trophy. If you didn't come away with it learning anything and improving on your skills. So that's why I'm not nervous, and I'm the customer, I'm the boss, I paid for this. They don't want me to fail. So really, I can do no wrong here but learn. And I think that's a very like ESTP type perspective. Like, let's look at what this actually is in reality and take it for what it's worth. And another story to highlight this, the big difference between an ESTP and an INFJ. So I have this INFJ coworker who is starting her own business, and she's hiring people and doing Skype interviews. And she was so nervous to have these interviews because she was afraid like that her microphone wouldn't work properly, her camera wouldn't work properly, that she was basically afraid that she wouldn't be giving the person that she's interviewing a good experience. And I'm like, girl, like, you're the boss. This is about you. They should be worried about giving you the good experience. It's not like your microphone takes a couple minutes for you to get it connected and they're like, you know what, I don't want the job. You know, that's not going to happen. So, relax. But we tested it out. Like, we did a little quick run together, and then she felt like good about it. But yeah, that's the difference between like an SE hero and SE inferior, being worried about that experience. But I'm like, no, I'm not worried about giving the experience at all. This is going to be fine. Where can I go next? I'm kind of bouncing around this page and not going with my plan the way I planned. All right. Next point, SENI versus NESI. So the way I've heard it explained before is that SENI is taking all of these SE facts and reality and then narrowing it down to like one NI path, whereas SINE is like taking this one fact and reality and expanding it out. So I sometimes get frustrated with NESI when it's like, okay, I've taken this thing and I've simplified it for you. And now you've taken my simplified thing and you re-blew it up and complicated it over again. When I'm like, it doesn't need to be. I did all this work. Why did you undo my work? And I think to highlight this, I do these polls on Instagram where I ask a question that I think is a simple yes or no question. I ask it to every type, and it'll be like, do you have a pet? Yes or no? And I think no one should have a problem answering this question, but I will get paragraphs in my DMs from people telling me about like, well, under these circumstances, and if it were like this, then da 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 da. And I'm like, it doesn't matter, okay? Like, take this for what it is. Take it for what it's worth. Do you have a pet? Yes or no? I don't care about all of these other possibilities, because like, yeah, could be, but it's not, okay? Could be any, but it's not SE, so it doesn't matter, okay? It's not that SE users can't see the other possibilities. I can. Like, a lot of times I'm like, I knew you were going to say that, okay? But you're just not being realistic. You're not looking at the thing for what it's worth, all right? So it's more of like, it's not that you can't see the other possibilities. It's that like, you don't want to waste your time with them, okay? Because you've got this one NI like path that you're on here. And so, you know, I don't want people to think I'm mad at them for writing me paragraphs. It's fine. You could do that. Like, if I want to read it, I will. If I won't, I won't do it. But ultimately, it's just like the SE reality of like looking at the question and looking at the poll for what it's worth. I'm like, yeah, all this stuff, but like, this is an Instagram poll. Like, it gives me two options to give you, and take it for what it's worth. Because like, is it even really that accurate? Because a lot of people are mistyped out there. No, like this is pretty much just for fun. And so yeah. So I lost myself on that rant. Yeah, it seems like with that, it's almost like annoys me because it's like NE is kind of like pretending that they don't know what I mean to seem smart. Like, and I know that's not true, but that's the way it comes off to me. Because maybe I'm not so good at articulating the meaning behind it. So I've started doing these videos at the beginning being like, by this question, do you have any pets? I mean this. I don't mean this. I don't mean this. I mean this. Okay. And then that's pretty much stopped it. Stop the nonsense. So, yeah, that's SENI versus NESI. next point is that ESTPs and STPs in general really want to make people better. And this is with people and things in general. Like, you know, I'm not out there reinventing the wheel. There are other dating apps that exist and other systems that exist. I'm just putting it together like in a unique way that wasn't already available. But with people, making people better, this will sound shallow, but whatever, I don't care. I'll sometimes look at people who have, like, I see all the potential in them, and I'm like, if I could just take you and put you on like this eating regimen and give you like this type of exercise routine, and we could do your hair this way, put you in these clothes, like, look at what you could be, like you could be so much better. And like even like with my students, I'll do this too. Like if I just take you and I expose you to this knowledge, and if I, you know, I just want to like grow people, help them realize their potential. And ESTPs and ISTPs in general love to do that. They love to see people who are like getting after it and doing it for themselves. They really like value like self-reliance and like taking responsibility for yourself and just doing it, you know, because ESTPs, ICPs are very action oriented. Like, okay, you said you're going to do this, like, do it, get after it, get yours, because I'm over here getting mine, and I want to see that you're doing it too, because we motivate each other. Like, I feed off of that energy. I feed off of the fact that we're both growing and we're both out there doing it, and it gives me more motivation to do my own thing. Oh yeah, ESTPs, they love to encourage people. Like, you know, nice gains, bro, at the gym is probably invented by ESTPs. Because yeah, they love to see and encourage that growth instead of being threatened by it. And they like people who can do that in turn for them. But yeah, what's the next thing? I'm sorry. ESTPs often preach self-discipline, and resilience is extremely important. They want to see that and they want to be strong in mind, body, and soul. Okay, strong all the way around. And ESTPs are very like aware of the body being an external representation of what you have going on within you, you know, because if you're unhealthy on the inside, you're often unhealthy on the outside, and in reverse. And that's not to say that there aren't some people who are in super good shape and really like physically fit that aren't emotionally or mentally broken on the inside, but that is often the case. You know, when people start to get their lives together, you'll see it. Like, you'll see the transformation externally, like the way they stand and like take care of themselves. And I think this is why ESTPs get labeled as being shallow or caring too much about looks. It's more that like, okay, if I can see that you don't care enough about yourself to like take care of your body, then how can I trust you with anything else? You know, how can I trust you to care about me? How can I trust you to be there for me in the future? Kind of a deal. How can I trust you not to leave me, abandon me because, you know, you're so unhealthy? So that could be that. Oh yeah, ESTPs, they won't condone mediocrity. They want to see that you're always growing, doing things, basically just doing things. And I'm constantly asking the question like, hey, what are you doing? Like, just calling people up, hey, what are you doing? And it's not that I'm like keeping tabs on them. It's not like I'm mistrustful and I have to know where you are and what you're doing at all times. It's just like curiosity. I like to know, I don't know, I like to know what you're up to, like, kind of a deal. But one thing that is kind of disgusting to me right now during this quarantine is all the people who are basically using this as an excuse to do nothing with themselves and like to just wallow on the couch watching Netflix. Like, that's nasty. Okay, like, get up and do something, unless you're watching this video, in which case you are taking good control over your life. But yeah, it's basically the attitude of like, get a hold of yourself and do something about it, okay? Like, yeah, times are tough for you. You have these feelings that you're dealing with or whatever. Like, that's cool. Like, I'll hug you, but like, come on, let's go. Let's go now. Let's do something, because you're not going to fix it by sitting around and just like being sad. Okay, a lot of the things that people pass off as self-care are just really self-indulgence, and it's disgusting. But I won't get involved in their lives unless they're really important to me and I could see that they want to actually do something about it. Okay, anyway. Next thing I'm going to end on, last point, is a quote by Nietzsche that I think embodies a lot of the ESTP spirit, and it's the strength of a person's spirit then... Oh, no. Let's start that over. Okay. The strength of a person's spirit would then be measured by how much truth he could tolerate, or more precisely, to what extent he needs to have it diluted, disguised, sweetened, muted, falsified. And the reason I think this embodies the ESTP is that they're known for like pushing on people. Okay. And that could be physically, although I've literally never gotten in a fight, but maybe this is more like of an angry, testosterone-fueled ESTP boy thing. But for me, the way I push on people is to see how much truth that they can tolerate. And a lot of the times, like, I can tell that a person can't handle it, so I'm not going to give it to them. Like, well, I could tell you what I really think about the reality of this situation, but you're not going to like it. And I'll give that warning all the time. If people ask me what I think, I'll be like, you're not going to like it. And, you know, usually then they're like, well, now I have to know. But I can be reluctant to give that because if your child, you know, or I can see that I don't think you're strong enough to take it. So an ESTP will test people to see how much truth, basically, how much reality, how much of a check they could handle. And if you can really take the full force of their like reality checks, they're going to have a lot of respect for you. And they're like, you know, basically like, you're cool. All right. We could be friends. You know, you see through all of this BS. All right. That's how an ESTP would pick a friend. They'll test them maybe with humor. Like, all right, this joke was maybe a little bit inappropriate, but it's true. Like, did you laugh at that? Can you laugh at yourself? Do you take yourself too seriously? Do you take this other BS too seriously? Like, can I trust you, basically, with telling you what I actually think about things. Oh, and the last thing that ESTPs do to test people. This is annoying. ESTPs will sometimes kind of set up a logic chain and see if you can solve it. And it's a dumb thing to do. Really, we should stop. But it's like, look, I was smart enough to figure this out. Let's see if you can. And that's a little check. And it can be kind of arrogant sounding or patronizing. So we really shouldn't do that one. But all right, that's enough for this video though. But I will continue. I still have like 5 points to go through in the next video. And you guys should check out TypeMatch on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. TypeMatch app is out on Android, and we're waiting for iOS to post it, which could be tomorrow. Who knows when Apple will be finally ready. And you can check out typematchapp.com.